Hi everyone, welcome to another webinar hosted by CloudZone. Great to have you all here. In today's webinar, we will focus on creating a cloud FinOps culture. My name is Ori Tabachnik. I'm CloudZone CRO, and today I'm honored to host a very talented young man that happens to be a very good friend, Dor Levy. And on his side, we're going to host Mr. John Hashem from Cloud Health at VMware. Cool. So, right after, I'll give you some short background on CloudZone and what we do. Dor will dive into the cost and financial operation side of the cloud adoption journey. And he's basically going to talk about how business phases or business processes are reflected in our cost profiles and well define actually, the actions that we're bound to take to ensure cost effectivity throughout this journey. Following Door, we're going to see a short Cloud Health demo and we'll wrap up with a couple of real life customer success stories. Cool. So a few words about CloudZone. For those of you who are not familiar, CloudZone is the leading public cloud consulting partner in Israel. We're honored to collaborate and take a multi-cloud strategy with all three public cloud vendors. We're an AWS Premier Consulting Partner and a GCP and Azure Go Partner. Um, CloudZone holds and is honored to serve a very wide customer portfolio across many different industries actually and across different segments and sizes. Important to note that CloudZone is a matrix company. She's the leading IT company in Israel since 2001. A few words about the way that we collaborate and partner with our customers. We like to put it into three pillars, if I may say. So the elevate, the operate, and the innovate. The elevate is really focuses on processes, and day zero processes where we basically escort and consult to companies that are about to migrate to the cloud, whether it's enterprise companies that are taking their first steps into the cloud, or it's a startup company that's moving from one cloud to another. So Elevate focuses usually on big processes, consulting services that includes projects in large scale. Operate is basically, let's say, the major part or the lion's share of our work. Managing and operating cloud environments can be fairly complex. So everything around cloud billing, invoicing, FinOps, cost optimization, and whether it's 24/7 NOC services or managed services as a whole, that all of that is done under the operate pillar, and this is where the main day-to-day interaction with our customer is. And finally, obviously, the flagships are innovation, right? So in every project that we take, CloudZone makes an effort to use top and edge technologies. And we take pride in our DevOps projects, in our data projects, and always in the search for new technologies, for new ways, for new solutions to solve customers' challenges. All in all, as a cloud reseller, our business model is very simple and attractive. Um, where we join a customer and partner with a customer. We basically take all the billing responsibility from the vendor directly through us. And under this model, we provide four core services at no additional charge. So that's part of the added value to work with a partner like CloudZone. Our technical consultancy is a big part and a valuable part where we partner with your technical team and provide consulting on an ongoing basis. We call it, we create periodic system reviews and of course on-demand consulting for every challenge or problem you are facing. Of course, we provide the first year technical support the know-how, the documentation, an easy way to get around in either AWS, Azure, or GCP. These two parts are the technical parts. And on the right side, two main core services that we take pride in are cost monitoring with Cloud Health by VMware, and we're going to introduce very soon a few other solutions for cost monitoring and analysis. And on top of these tools that provide visibility both for the customer and ourselves, we provide very, very professional FinOps services, proactive FinOps services that are basically taken in consideration the huge interest of our customers to reduce their cost. We do it on a proactive approach, so you will expect to receive from us suggestions, recommendations, alerts, and so on and so forth. Additional services under the Cloud Zone hood are the Peacock, the Public Cloud Operations Center, and our delivery services, of course. So everything end-to-end from consulting to support and to actual end-to-end projects you can find under the Cloud Zone hood.
Thank you, Oli. Hi, everybody. This is Do Levy from Matrix. I'm a data engineer, and I'm going to walk you through the FinOps and cost optimization section along with John Hashem from Cloud Health. Today, we're going to talk about the customer cost journey, but just a few words before about myself. Hi, this is me. I've spent the last 4 years around data engineering and analysis, and I'm passionate about elucidating anomalies and getting to a bottom of an issue makes me bloom. But I also enjoy normal things like tennis and playing the guitar. And today we're going to talk about the customer's cost journey. So let's get to it. So we wanted to share with you our best practice approach. From our experience, this approach applies for 90% of the cases. And that's in fact the phases of the customer cost journey you see below here with the growth on the graph. Now, we search for pattern within our customers, similar service usage, business models, and eventually we found that although every customer is different, the challenges are very similar, and those usually goes hand to hand with the customer spend in the cloud. It's a simple idea, a little bit like Occam's blade. The right answer is simplest one. And one of the indicators we got was in introduction meetings where we had to try and understand the awareness level in the customer side. We were asking about the ratio between the investment made in the cloud and the growth in revenue, just to see where it stands. And there are simple things. It's safe to say that growing customer base or a growing staff will increase your spend, but we still try to define the common challenges in every phase. Eventually, we found those ranges, and they might vary, but the pain points are very similar. Now, let's talk about the first one, the pre-product. Pre-product is about up to a 10K a month. That would be a typical startup with an MVP or even an SMB or enterprise migrating to the cloud. And they will have the right ingredients to move on to the next step in cloud. And at this point, startup case will have no customer baseline or production environments. But most of the cloud expenses will be R&D based. Now, tech team that uses the cloud will be narrow, few developers and an architect. And you will feel that it's not the time for profound cost optimization. We disagree, but at this point, yeah, quick wins are in line. Killing those zombies, scheduling instances. Now, the second phase, market fit, about 25K a month. At this point, the company is usually trying to find the right fit. They might even have their first adopters, but tracking the market, gathering feedbacks, coping with production issues or many new features, that's complicated, and I've been there, believe me. That's definitely one of the most challenging phases. It could be a different step with an SMB, adding their database to the cloud. Both complicated and risky. So again, you don't have the time for cost optimizations, and all quick wins are relevant, but it's not enough. At this point, what you want to do is start to build your FinOps skeleton. And I mean, your cost optimization should be aligned with a different infrastructure to assemble. You need to involve both your business and operation focal points to create together flags and alerts, using best practices to create tags, so later on you'll be able to track your spend in the cloud. Yes, auto scaling, scheduling, it's still in line. It's super important to take care of those instances and think about moving to newer generation instances. There's much more to do. Expanding your wings. Expand your wings is a maturity level. At this point, you're getting ready to cross the chasm. It will require both your initial accomplishments, meaning the customers and the revenue from the early stages, but also the strength and the faith to scale up in all resources. And if you've managed to get this far, you probably have the customer baseline to go with. And recruiting additional developers, testers, DevOps engineers, those are all part of the scaling up that you're going to see in your cloud. So before we go into cost optimization actions, one word to remember. Missing a step at this point will have consequences in the next one. Now, we have vast experience in customers starting their journey in this phase and which service adjustment needed. Like, for instance, your architecture review. Now it must be the right timing to check if your current architecture will allow you to scale up in the future. It's an important question to ask, and it's much more complex, I understand, but considering and thinking about your architecture could be the right thing to do right now. You also need to consider reservations. Which reservations are right according to your certainty level of the future? But more importantly, it's the right timing to tighten up the product pricing. Those are all points to think about, and it needs a lot of work. The last phase, flying safe, we're talking about an 80K a month. It's almost $1 million a year, and that's becoming a real headache. It's a good chance that your product is spreading to other regions and even international regions, and those expenses are even higher. Now, at this point, it's safe to say that the CFO and the CEO will push back for cutbacks. They want to make sure that your return on investment isn't injured in process. So your main items to consider, first of all, think about the price efficiency, which is dictated by the cost of your services. You need to make the right pricing decisions. It goes without saying that evaluating your product pricing based on your expenses is the right way to go forward. You'll also need to plan long-term agreements, both for your product and expenses, in order to guarantee stability. And it's not an easy road. Additionally, you'll need to monitor and reserve additional RI, and that's a key factor to decrease expenses in the future. And you need to decide how much flexibility is needed here. But I think the hardest question to ask is, will your current architecture be cost effective, regardless of the fact if it serves your technical objectives? And again, this might be the last point in time to review and change it. Now, I want to have a look on those building blocks from a different perspective. Cost visibility, optimization, reduction, all those are means for the efficiency, the end goal. Initially, a customer will ask, what is this specific service that I'm paying for? You'll uses monthly invoice, maybe it's Cost Explorer to identify specific service. But we can provide Cloud Health, which is the best visibility tool for no charge. And the questions with us on your side would sound more, will sound bolder. What should I change? Which AWS service or an open source service could serve me better? What are my underutilized resources that I need to detach? And looking forward, you want to be in control and make the right decisions so that you'll be able to check for chargebacks and even questioning the cost of your service. And we will be there to serve you with the best training for cost optimizations in general, not only AWS, best practices, using Cloud of the best way. You need a good driver. It's not enough to have the best tool. You need someone to teach you how to drive. You'll be able to use budgets and tags. You'll see those tailored reports that fits you. And of course, we're going to talk about reservation strategy. And our proactive approach and this caring partnership we're offering will shorten the distance from the point you're in and where you want to be. Because we will push you. We'll push you for 25 up to 40% saving with our experience. Now, right after this, we're going to have John's session, and then we're going to come back for a quick session about those customer success stories. So, John, the mic is all yours. We're looking forward for your session. So go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Dor. This is John Hashem, one of the sales engineers with Cloud Health by VMware. So I'm going to walk you through just a few slides here just to go over, kind of what is Cloud Health and how we can help. And then we'll jump into the platform quickly.
Okay, take over for the screen sharing.
Thank you. Now, first I'll start off with at least a little bit about Cloud Health. So Cloud Health's the global leader in multi-cloud management. We were acquired by VMware back in October of 2018. So exciting news for Cloud Health. So we manage over $11 billion in annual cloud spend. And more importantly, a lot of our customers, as you can see here over on the right, is they're managing more and more clouds with Cloud Health. So looking at 9% more, manage more than 3 public and hybrid clouds. So a little bit about the vision for Cloud Health. So as you can see, we have a few different pillars that we're working with. Starting off with simplifying financial management. So a lot of our customers have a lot of different problems based on budgeting, how spend is attributed to business units, and really where they can drill down into those costs. Next is starting with operations, so being able to more importantly reduce risk, but making sure it's efficient, easy to work with. And last is making sure they're compliant, working with their security framework that works for them, and that's all across an integrated data layer. And we support AWS, Azure, Google, and then VMware. So this is where it starts with the cloud journey that we hear is, everyone's looking for bringing services faster to their customer or, partners delivering services to their customers, quickly changing the markets, improving things like cost of goods sold. But what happens over time here is, the reality is, budgeting gets out of control. You're looking at, security tends to take a lax approach because they want to innovate and automate quickly. So it takes kind of a back seat. And then optimization. So people start off with like a lift and shift to start. Once they look at something like a lift and shift, then they start to look at refactoring and platform to make sure things are optimized, and then reducing costs as well. So this is where we start with cloud maturity. It starts off with visibility. We look at visibility begins with a couple of things. So it starts with tagging structure. So how are you tagging your infrastructure? Do you have rules in place to making sure that you can measure that type of efficiency? And some of the KPIs that partners like Matrix can help with is making sure your infrastructure is tagged, making sure it's utilized appropriately, helping with bill back and charge back. So more importantly, finance teams are asking, you have this large bill at the end of the month, who's using it? What's it being used on? Is it being used correctly? So it starts with visibility within that cloud journey. Next, we look at optimization. So once you get the visibility component down, it starts with being able to optimize correctly. So when you do optimize, it's making sure you're using the best and the latest and greatest here. So for example, AWS, they'll automatically upgrade infrastructure into new, what they call generations of instances. And really what that means is it's more performant, usually cheaper, but so you want to take advantage of that. So being able to have a platform like CloudHealth tell you, hey, this is a good recommendation for you. You'll improve performance, and more importantly, you'll save money as well. Looking at underutilized resources, and then commitments and discounts. So one of the big things that happens is there's a lot of things to look at within your cloud journey. Not only look at reservations, but the introduction of things like savings plans make it a lot more complicated to not only manage costs, but making sure the total environment is optimized correctly. So things like savings plans introduce some serverless components as well. So having that holistic picture is making sure you include that as well. So these are a few different optimizations that we'd like to include within the CloudHealth story, and more importantly, partners like Matrix can help deliver these and take care of these for you. So it starts with things like unused VMs or instances. Those are tend to get left behind. They get spun up really quickly, and then get kind of lost in the shuffle when environments move or maybe change hands. Snapshots. So as retention windows increase or decrease, that leads a lot of leftovers for snapshots that really don't need to be there anymore and are costing a lot of money within different storage classes. Unused disks, so that's something where a instance maybe gets decommissioned, and then you see that disk get left behind. We see customers with thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars a month with just disks that are kind of just sitting there in the account. So you want to remediate those. And lastly, elastic IPs. So what happens is you have a lot of IP addresses that you're using, and they cost money. They're really, really inexpensive, but at scale, they can be attributable to a large cost. So making sure you quickly remediate those, so then you don't have kind of a carry forward cost within the ongoing months. So this is a great report within CloudHealth. It's called the Health Check. So this is we call a pulse report. It's designed to give you optimizations every day, kind of that cup of coffee report where you go in the morning and you look at where can I optimize my cloud, where can I make it more performant, how can I charge back those assets appropriately, and more importantly, have a total recommendation to work with. And then you can subscribe this and drop this in your inbox as well. So this is a little bit about optimization. So optimization starts off with just looking at over-provisioned infrastructure. Everyone likes to spin up the biggest, largest instance they can find because it's quick and makes their application look great. But more importantly, the applications, they don't really need a lot of that infrastructure as time moves on. Maybe you start to get a more performant structure, maybe gets re-architected. So there's a lot of savings just by dropping an instance size. Sometimes you can anywhere from 25 to a 50% cost savings. Same with databases as well. Those can be a large attributable cost. So next we look at governance and automation. So once you have kind of the pillars in place that you're looking for, now you want to make sure moving forward, you have some guardrails set. So this is where CloudHealth has a policy engine, and the policy engine is really where you set conditions. So if these conditions are met, then an action could take place. An action could be an email to a service desk, it could be to managed by a partner like Matrix, could also be to different members in the organization, or you can take automated actions with appropriate permissioning, maybe starting and stopping instances on a life cycle for your nights and weekends, or getting rid of those IPs and those disks that need to be deleted or unattached. And here's some of the sample policies I was talking to here. Some are budget based. Some can also be reservations that are going to be expiring in the next 60 to 90 days. And then also those different conditions below for infrastructure-based solutions. And last, it's business integration, making sure that you're aligned to those different KPIs that you're looking to achieve with the cloud. Is it cost per customer? Is it looking at particular cost of goods sold? That's important as well, because as you are innovating and moving workloads to the cloud, you want to make sure that environment, more importantly, supports the business as well, because at the end of the day, the cloud is, the meter's ticking. So as infrastructure is, whether it's used or unused, it's still costing money. So making sure the infrastructure that you are spinning up is utilized as best it could be. Now I'm going to jump right into the platform. So quickly look at Cloud Health. So starts with your visibility component, looking at dashboards, taking those reports that you'd like to use, every single day and bring them into, a logical view here. So looking at cost over time, you can jump right into, that health check that I mentioned earlier. This is a great way to, first jump into the platform and have this delivered to you, or something where, the team of Matrix can help as well, is showing you where you can save money quickly. So, unused EBS volumes, $2,300 a month. That adds up a lot pretty quick if you look at it, within the past few months here. Cloud governance, this is a great way to say, infrastructure is missing a certain amount of tags. So you want to attribute those tags in what we call our perspective engine. And that's where you can build, different rule sets on how you define infrastructure. Operational monthly savings, so looking at underutilized EC2 as an example, making sure it's not only performant, but it's costing the right amount of money, and that's a recommendation made here as well. And then security, so utilizing AWS best practices or the Center for Net Security. And last, that's wrapped up with reservation management as well. We'll take a quick look into reporting. So this is kind of the visibility component as well. So when you take a lot of infrastructure, you really want to understand is who's using it, what are they spending it on, and maybe you want to look at the line items in the bill, because those are the ones that you have to give back to particular teams. So you can see we have a lot of spend here, but we don't really know who's spending it on. So once we have those perspectives built, now we can start to break those out, maybe by environment. So what's the most costing environment here? We can see that's production. So maybe I want to drill down just into production. So what I'll do is I'll start with looking at the environment, choosing production. Now maybe I want to stay on the overall project that's being consumed here. So I know it's costing me a lot of money. I need to know what project is being tied up here. So it looks like we have Project Tour. So Project Tour is, data analytics. So that's one thing I want to take a look at. So once we start here, we can drill just into that overall, that overall project. So what I'll do here is look for Project Tour, hit update. And then as you can see, we have a lot of data here, but you can quickly get down to the information you care about. Then you can subscribe it out to different teams, or stakeholders in the organization. Or you can grab this via API and bring it in your own BI tool as well. You can also, forecast in the future. I can drill down to particular line items as well, see all the line items in the bill. So it leaves a lot of data that can easily be manageable with Cloud Health. And next, we'll jump just right into the recommendation. So we'll look at right sizing. So once you look at, perspective right sizing, this is actually going to be how information is grouped. So we're looking at it's grouped by the perspective, which is project. Now we can see my different groups, which instances have the most amount of savings here, which it looks like over 1,000 instances, about 52K a month are with the Tor project. So now we can drill down, look at the overall recommendations, download this for future use, or discuss, with Matrix to help you remediate this as well. And then we can see how it's being scored. Where's the savings? Maybe you want to sort by the highest savings first. And then you can quickly look at where the 16XL, Cloud Health saying go to an 8XL because it's underutilized. So that's something to take advantage of. And the savings add up really, really quick. And then once you have this kind of framework in place, then you can look at saving more money by committing to something like savings plans. And Cloud Health actually has a recommendation engine for that as well to help you leverage your commitments and make the most sense of them as well.
Thank you, John. Thank you very much for sharing with us from your expertise. I'm glad we had the opportunity to get even the smallest taste of this tool. And there's clearly a lot more to learn and leverage. And there's no doubt that Cloud Health is a wonderful platform. But in order to achieve efficiency, true understanding, and above 25% saving, you want to have the full triangle. A firm platform, an enthusiastic customer, of course, and a keen, proactive partner that can lead you through this journey. And let's go ahead and talk about those two customer stories. The first case we're looking on is a big startup joining us at the end of 2017. They're a strong company today, which helps deriving and maximizing performance of networks for some of the largest organizations in the world. And check out this graph. On the beginning, they started with both Linux, Windows, and Red Hat. And Red Hat is much more expensive, so that's the first thing we talked about and advised them to change. And you can see how Red Hat utilization is converted to Linux over the time. But in parallel, the customer also upgraded his instances to newer generations, which are cheaper and both stronger. Now check out the initial no upfront reservation, September 2017. Take a look on how the majority of the on-demand instances changed to reservations over time. At the y-axis, we're looking at instance hours, and look at those steps. Keep in mind that the monthly usage has only grown over time. Now we're looking on RI strategy here. If you recall, we just seen how the usage hours is growing significantly. So you can see the trend of the spend is slowly decreasing. Actually, it's very nice. It's a very nice decrease. But look at the trust. I think it's a textbook example. Look at how the trust is built. Additional commitments as the time passed. And as your partner will never advise you to jump high. On the contrary, exactly as you see here, steady moves in monitoring. Now that's the second customer journey. It is a sports data-oriented company. As you can see, they've started close to $15,000 a month with a variety of instances. And I can also say that they were spread around many regions for the technical reasons. And there was no room for change at this point, but moving on with a more advanced and a cheaper instance was the right move for them, as of course right sizing. So the first step they took was changing those T3 and T2 instances to a T3A, which are AMD processors based. And if from performance point of view you're not blocked, that's a great opportunity for a cheaper and a much more advanced instance. And look at the trend here. They've moved since October 2019 until July. It's an amazing trend. And I can also tell you, we're going to see it soon, that the spend has dropped significantly. So around January here, this move has begun to take place, and right sizing as well. So we've also started talking with them about the right coverage for them. And around December, AWS has released saving plans, and that was, I think, technically it was so agile and flexible for those kind of startups. You can see that they've started with a 25-30% coverage around here in January. And the second phase we've recommended was here at April. At mid-April, they've chosen to take the second saving plan. And that's, as we call it, an educated and responsible movement. We're talking about taking the right commitment, then monitor, and then move on with additional commitment if needed. And COVID-19, I think, it has proved that moving the right direction and taking those slow and thoughtful steps could be the right way to move on. And you can see that as the time passes, they were not injured in the process. They haven't suffered from COVID at all, and they got to enjoy and fulfill their compute saving plan to the maximum, which is amazing. And the most amazing thing is that the instance hours has only grown as the time passes. They've started around 50K, 1,000 hours, and ended at above 70K hours a month, which from our side is an amazing achievement, getting a customer to a point where his spend has dropped in more than 20%, while his usage has grown in more than 20%. So I think that's the goal you're aiming with the right partner for their journey, for your journey. And as you can see, we know and our experience, from our experience, to move on with different sizes of customers and giving them the right recommendations, identifying their needs and their pain points, directing them to the right place. And we'll be glad to do so with you as well, of course. So next, we're gonna have some Q&A with myself and Ori. And first of all, we're going to talk about CloudZone's FinOps offering by Ori as well. So Ori, I'm moving the mic to you guys. Thank you very much for being with me. I'll be back soon.
Thanks, Dor. That was super insightful. So just before we go to the Q&A session, I wanted to share the CloudZone FinOps offering, and we're not going to leave you here without a nice call to action. So the first CloudZone FinOps offering, to those of you who don't have a monitoring tool, a cost monitoring tool, today we offer a 30-day free trial of CloudEarth, followed by the cost optimization assessment and a cost optimization session. You're going to start with a 30-day trial. We're going to collect all the data, and then at the end of this 30-day, we're going to sit with you as our customer, and we're going to go to all the cost savings opportunities that you can enjoy, and we're going to share some best practices with you. This is a pretty valuable process altogether, whether we're going to keep on working together or not. This is a great opportunity. If you already have CloudEarth and you're already a customer, we're up for this challenge, and we will use your Cloud Health data in order to provide our own cost optimization assessment, a CloudZone cost optimization assessment done by the professionals. We're up for the challenge, and we're sure there are some cost savings opportunities for you out there. And if you're one of those special customers who's currently spending more than 40K a month only on compute spend, please contact sales for a tailor-made suit and a really nice financial savings solution. So the CloudEarth trial is obviously at no charge, at no commitment, and it's a great time to make your call. Contact me at orita@cloudzone.io. Feel free to reach out and to schedule your cost optimization session. So again, let's move on to the Q&A session, and we're ready.